What's up everybody and welcome back to Game 2 of this Best of 3 series from the Raidcall D2L League Season 3. I am B-Ballin, and as always shouts to Raidcall and EG for putting on this tournament. And keep in mind the winner, or the, I think, playoff finishers of this tournament get a free trip to DreamHack Valencia and play it out for around $10,000 in a LAN final, so it should be overall a very good time. But if you have not watched Game 1, click that bottom left link below the previous video icon, and that will show you that Dignitas did manage to triumph over EG. EG picked up a very interesting team fight lineup that unfortunately was a little bit too weak, as it was a bit difficult to execute in the early game, and once EG was able to get items up to execute it, Dignitas was just way too far ahead on the back of their lifesteal and lone druid choices. So, we'll see if EG picks up a different strategy this time. They're going to ban out the Magnus even though they have first pick, but of course this does mean that Dignitas will probably have to ban out the Bow unless they want to choose to play against the Bow. And keep in mind this is going to be played on the US server because both these teams are American, so there probably won't be any complaints about server lag or anything like that. But yeah, EG definitely picked up a very interesting lineup. It doesn't really fit their playstyle in my opinion. EG likes to play a bit more aggressive, but Fear has said in some interviews that they're trying to tone down the aggressive nature of Demon and Bambo because taking high-risk plays, even though it might lead to high rewards, it also leads to a lot of inconsistency, which Fear has said he wants to eliminate because he feels that inconsistency is what is keeping EG from being truly a powerhouse amongst the Do2 scene. So EG, we'll see if that new style had a factor in why they picked up such a conservative draft, but I think they have to work on finding a balance between the two roles rather than just completely negating it outright. And so, we'll see what they decide to go for, but Dignitas waiting long and hard who they should ban out with their last choice. So I guess they're a bit worried about banning out whether they want to ban out the Leicester or the Bow, and of course that will always be a tough decision to do, but they're going to have the Leicester rather than leaving both in the pool and forcing EG to make a decision. But EG going to snatch up the Bow, and that means Dignitas will see what they can pick up in order to defeat this very powerful hero. Dignitas, some of the options left in the pool are Rubik, Furion. Dignitas do like to split push quite a bit with Furion. Yeah, there's overall a lot of solid choices. Shadow Demon could be an option as well because EG does like running the Shadow Demon. But they're going to get Universe's trademark Darkseer as well as getting a Shadow Demon choice. So perhaps one of the ways they can limit Bowrunner's super aggressive nature is just through keeping him down in the early game, because Bowrunner, if he does manage to get a fast dagger, he does fall off a little bit in terms of his early game effectiveness. Of course, Bowrunner the dagger, if he does manage to get enough farm, will just completely run over you in the early game and then just be overall a very strong impact, because his lasso is probably one of the best initiation spells in the game. But if you can beat him in the early game, if he jumps into the lasso, then he can be quite easy to bring down just because he is going to be relatively squishy in comparison to the rest of your team. So Shadow Demon might be an indication that Dignitas will want to gank this Bow a couple times. It also could be, alright, Shadow Demon's overall a very versatile support, and he can work in most lanes, whether it be aggressive or defensive. And beyond Darkseer Universe, if you've not seen his Darkseer, you know it is ridiculously powerful, but he will probably be soloing the offlane in this position. And EG, they're going to secure their trial lane by snatching up Gyrocopter as well as the Nyx Assassin. And I don't think this will be a mid-solo Nyx Assassin. I think Demon likes to play more of those mobile mid-solo heroes like the Queen of Pain, like the Puck, heroes of that nature. Magnus is a good option as well, but I think this will probably be a support Nyx Assassin captained by Fear, most likely. Or maybe it is, if they don't want to have Nyx Assassin play the secondary support rather than the primary support. But in most Nyx Assassin games, he usually plays the 4 role rather than the 5 role, because Nyx Assassin is definitely one of those heroes who can benefit from farm, whereas a hero like Shadow Demon doesn't really need that much farm, and that's why we see more 5 role Shadow Demons compared to 4 role Shadow Demons, so they can spend more gold on wards and still be reasonably effective, as Disruption and all of his spells remain effective if he doesn't have items or not. But EG going to snatch up the Gyrocopter, taking away Dignitas' favorite carries, or one of Dignitas' favorite carries, and that really is, it's difficult to say how this Gyrocopter will be utilized. It could be potentially laned in the mid lane, but it will probably be laned as a safe lane tri lane carry. And right now Nyx Assassin doesn't really lead me to believe that EG will go on the offensive, because Gyrocopter and Nyx don't have the best range, and Nyx Assassin, even though he's quite powerful in a tri lane versus tri lane scenario, he doesn't really dish out that much harassment, and I feel like Gyrocopter wants to have a bit more range on his side in order to really deal it out, or deal out his burst damage in the form of the Rocket Barrage. So I think EG will be running a safe lane tri lane. And Dignitas, I think, just by judging through their picks, it's a bit unclear on how they want to run their Chine. I think it'll probably be defensive because Shadow Demon, even though he's very powerful and aggressive Chine, Dignitas have not snatched up any other aggressive Chine heroes, and Darkseer is very comfortable in the offlane position for the most part. Meanwhile, Dignitas is going to secure their mid lane by picking up the Queen of Pain. This could be to deny EG the Queen of Pain, but also Queen of Pain is very, very powerful in the mid lane. Rarely loses to any heroes besides perhaps the Puck. If she doesn't get out to a good start, and if they don't get the game going long enough, then Queen of Pain will have a lesser impact, but snaking on the Queen of Pain should be able to make a lot of ganks happen, and getting a burst-heavy mid-soul will be essential in terms of keeping down the Gyrocopter, as well as the Batrider. Meanwhile, EG banning out the Chen as well as the Clockwork, so they know Dignitas like running that support Clockwork, even though Darkseer is going to be the offlane hero. I think they probably know that Fog does like playing that support Clockwork. They're also going to ban out the Luna, so I guess they're a bit fearful of that early game push since they ban out the Luna as well as the Chen, two very strong early game pushers. Of course, Luna with that Lucent Aura, or Luna Aura, or whatever the heck the aura is called. Oh man, I'm just brain farting on the name of that aura. It's just very, very powerful, especially synergized with another jungle like Chen, Enchantress, even Firen. Meanwhile, Dignitas can out the Firen, one of Bambo's favorite heroes, as well as the Juggernaut, so banning out a couple Bambo heroes as well as getting rid of the Keeper Light, which might be an indication that Dignitas might go aggressive, because going against Keeper Light in a Tron vs. Tron scenario can be potentially very dangerous, as EG gonna pick up the Templar Assassin to go up against Queen of Pain. And I think I analyzed this matchup before, but basically what it comes down to is whether the TA can meld the Shadow Strike damage, and how fast she can get her bottle and treads up. If she manages to get those items up, then she should be able to win the lane quite convincingly. Even if she doesn't get the treads up, maybe if she gets a magic wand in a bottle, she should be able to win the lane because her damage will be quite high. But if Queen of Pain manages to hit 1 or 2 Shadow Strikes, and TI cannot meld in time, then Queen of Pain should be able to win the lane, because of course meld does take a reasonable amount of mana and TA does not really have the best mana pool to work with. So every bit of mana is precious, but the refraction, of course, gonna be the key factor in terms of keeping TA in the mid lane, but the unsung hero is also the meld dodges. Meanwhile, EG gonna fortify their lineup with a Leshrac. Interesting choice. And back to the TA. TA, I think in this game is interesting because Darkseer does remarkably well against TA, has surged to help his teammates escape from the traps, his Ion Shell to immediately drain down the refraction. But since Dignitas picked up the Queen of Pain, I think EG feels reasonably confident that Queen of Pain won't be mid, as one of the main counters to TA in the mid lane was not only Batrider, but also Darkseer in the mid lane. But Universe will probably be playing the Darkseer and Queen of Pain since it was snatched up in the first phase. Gonna be mid lane most likely. But TA should be able to do a reasonably effective time going against the supports of Dignitas, as Dignitas have a pretty strong teamfight lineup, but they don't really have the most tankability until Darkseer does get the mechanism. So TA should do a reasonable job in terms of hunting down Dignitas' heroes, as Dignitas is going to finish up their lineup with Spectre, a really interesting choice and a hero that's been trending heavily if you watched any of the G1 as well as the Eastern Qualifier final matches. I don't know if I'm going to be covering the rest of those, but you should check it out on Beyond the Summits channel. But yeah, Spectre has been trending heavily, and I'm sure AUI is itching to get his hands on this hero, as AUI is a huge advocate of Spectre in general. He likes getting that Desolate first, Drums, Tranquils, and then going into Yasha, and then probably Manta after that. I think that is AUI's preferred build. But in this game, I think Radiance would be a very good option, not only in terms of draining the refraction charges, but also cancelling the Spike Carapace for not that much damage, so Spectre doesn't have to reflect that much damage, and the squishy nature of EG as a whole. EG is not really that tanky, and also it will cancel Bambo's Blink Dagger if they manage to get a Haunt initiation, so that could really disrupt EG's teamfight presence, and Dignitas did pick up a pretty strong teamfight lineup. What I'm a bit worried about for Dignitas is that TA is a very, very mid-game centric hero, and Spectre does need a lot of farm to get going for the most part. I mean, she can be reasonably effective if you max Desolate first, because you don't really need the mana regen to spam the dagger, since you will be relying on the Desolate for the most part. But Spectre doesn't really get that tanky until you get a lot of levels in Dispersion, get a couple items, and she doesn't deal that much damage unless everybody's spread out. So if EG can capitalize on Spectre's weakness in the laning phase, where she is a ridiculously weak laner, then EG could potentially overpower Dignitas in the mid phase of the game. And EG, I like what they're doing. They're going to group up as 5, noticing the Spectre pick, knowing that Dignitas, or knowing that Spectre in general, is quite a weak hero as a laning hero. They're just going to go in on the offensive as Bambo getting pulled a lot of items, getting pulled a set of tangos as well as a set of wards. So interesting choice by EG to pull the Barrier, but I guess it's going to be an offlane Barrier, and he won't go into the jungle. He's just going to try to contest the Spectre as much as possible. And Shadow Demon Jakiro really can't do that much in terms of keeping Barrier back. But Bambo caught in a little bit of an awkward position. Fogged, going to throw an Ice Path. Bambo won't die, but every bit of damage is going to annoy Bambo. He's going to have to use one of his tangos, but still, I mean, the Ice Path mana is not really that significant. But interesting plays and teams are going to have Fear playing the Nyx Assassin. Jero is going to be playing the Gyrocopter's Disruption. Going down Sexy Bambo, the Ice Path is going to follow up, but here comes the Splitter. Fear already uses stun, as it looks like Way Too Sexy just going to sacrifice his life, drawing tension away from his teammates. But meanwhile, Bambo is going to be on the pursuit, flying overhead, but won't be able to kill off Fogged, only level 1 Firefly, and that will not do too much. As wow, EG, are they actually going to rotate their trial lane up top with the Barrier? If they do that, then that is a really clever move, because Jo will be able to handle lane reasonably well against a Darkseer. Of course, if Darkseer does creep skip, then there's really not too much that Gyrocopter can do, but he can Flathand push the wave quite often, and if Darkseer dives him, he has Rocket Bash to really dissuade the Gyrocopter, or dissuade the Darkseer from doing just that. But yeah, Jo is going to be playing the Gyrocopter, Demon's playing the Templar Assassin, Bambo is playing the Barrier, Beatus is playing the Leshrac, Meal on the side, Dignitas are going to have Way Too Sexy playing the Shadow Demon, Fog is playing the Jakiro, AUI 2000 is playing the Spectre, Universe is going to be playing the Darkseer, and Snaking is going to be playing that Queen of Pain. But I love this Shrine setup, as Barrier, this is why he's such a powerful hero. Not only is he probably the best initiator in the game, he can be laned in a multitude of different ways, whether it be solo offlane, jungle, mid lane, or even tri-lane in an aggressive challenge scenario. Barrier can definitely make his mark and can perhaps win all of these lanes just on the back of his early game skill set, which is amongst the most powerful. And I'm going to be interested to see what skill set Bambo decides to go for. Will he decide to max Sticky Napalm? Will he decide to max the Flame Break, which we see more and more Barrier players doing? I think Napalm in this game would probably be a bit more valuable, but maybe he wants to save his mana and just get that burst edge on the back of the Flame Break, especially against Spectre, who is a bit tricky to bring down. But yeah, I don't imagine AUI will get any resemblance of farm in this lane. It's just going to be so difficult, as not only are there 2 stuns, there's also a Barrier, and Spectre, she has Spectre Dagger, but you can't really escape a Barrier by phasing into the trees as a Spectre, because of course Barrier can just burn through them and just make Spectre's life a living hell. And picking up those boots of speed, really clever, as I don't know if this is the intended play by EG, but they made it work, as I don't think it was the intended play to get the boot speed up on the Barrier in an aggressive try-in scenario, but I guess they saw Dignitas were not going to run an aggressive try-in themselves to dodge it, and instead rotate their supports. So maybe Dignitas, or maybe EG expected Dignitas to dodge the try-in by going to the bottom lane, but they are going to rotate their supports in kind, and they know Jo should be able to handle the Darkseer reasonably well. Meanwhile, the mid lane, as I forgot to bring down the CS chart, it looks like Snaking is controlling the lane reasonably well. Unfortunately for TA, even though she can meld dodge the Shadow Strike, Scream of Pain does hit through invisibility, and TA doesn't really have as much mana compared to the Queen of Pain, so she can't really be too liberal with her melds to dodge the fraction. So it's going to be difficult for TA to win this lane, but she should be able to get a reasonable amount of last hits. But Snaking doing a remarkable job driving away Demon. Demon has full HP as well as full mana, and you can see the Shadow Strike was just a bit too early for Demon to react to, as he ran right up to Snaking and then tried to meld dodge in the face of the Queen of Pain. And he's going to pop the refraction and going to throw down a little bit of DPS, but Queen of Pain doing a remarkable job in this early stage of the game. Meanwhile, the bottom lane, this lane should be for the most part very passive. Darkseer, I think, should be able to outfarm the Gyrocopter, but actually Jo is doing a nice job, as he is denying a lot of the CS on the Darkseer Iron Shells, and I'm a bit surprised that Universe is not just creep skipping, as it will make Jo's life a little bit more difficult staying under the tower, because Gyrocopter doesn't have the best base damage. But I guess Universe is worried about the counter teleports, because his team do not really have wards up on the map. They don't have any wards protecting the bot lane, so if one teleport does come in, if Jo manages to get one missile, then that could perhaps be the end of the Darkseer, so that's why Darkseer is choosing not to creep skip. You know, AUI 6 CS for a Spectre. This is definitely not how he was anticipating how this game would go, but it is going to be ridiculously difficult for Spectre to get herself back in the farm game. But one of the great things about Spectre, of course, is while everybody's team fighting, you can just farm up, and then when you're needed, you haunt in and get right back into the thick of things. So that is one of the plus benefits of having a Spectre. But she is very item dependent for the most part. If you want to build her very tanky. In terms of damage, she can be item independent, but still, the tank ability is something that Spectre desperately needs. As you can see, AOI decided to go for the 1-1-1 build, getting 1 skill point to each of them. AOI is a big proponent of maxing Desolate by 7, so I gotta imagine he's gonna keep Dagger at level 1 for the time being, and he's gonna get that Desolate up at level 7, and then, depending on the game situation, if he needs more tanky, he might max Dispersion. If he wants to have a bit more damage, he might choose to go into the Dagger. But I think he'll probably go back into the Dagger after maxing the Desolate. As Demon, gonna meld dodge, is gonna take a lot of Shadow Strike damage, will end up perishing, just took a bit too much rest and way too sexy coming in just to sap a little bit of experience, but still, nice job nonetheless, killing off the Templar Assassin as Snaking just controlling this lane ridiculously well, and 2 of Queen of Pain spells do not care if Templar Assassin is invisible or not, but meanwhile, Ichi gonna respond in kind on the top lane. AUI gonna be burned, he's gonna get stunned, he's being Firefly to the Flame Break, doing a bit of damage. Beat is, unfortunately for him, will end up perishing as AUI has 3 stacks of Napalm on him. It looks like he will die, but Barrett are gonna die as well, as it is gonna be a complete cleanup for the most part. Meanwhile, Fear looks like he just teleported out of there, so even though EG killed the Spectre, they did lose 2 heroes, and the next assassin was forced to spend a bit of gold teleporting himself back. Or actually, his TP is not on cooldown, so I guess he just ran the heck away. Maybe he had a haste rune or something like that. I'm not too sure how Fear actually escaped, but he did just that.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Meanwhile, Universe gonna snag himself an illusion rune, wasting a bit of Demon's time, and Fog waiting in the wings, gonna go on to AUI once again. Bambo burning AUI relentlessly, and AUI can't run because Bambo will just follow him to the ends of the earth with that Firefly. Disruption will be there, but way too sexy. 1 more stack might seal the deal. Bambo, he's gonna go for it, gonna cast a Flame Break, gonna push AUI right back. Meanwhile, Jakiro will end up dying. Bambo once again gonna trade his life in order to ensure the kill, but he did manage to get the kill, so that was definitely a good trade for EG as they managed to kill off Fog as well as killing the Spectre once again, and Spectre is already ridiculous behind in terms of farm. Meanwhile, Barrett has gotten himself a respectable amount of CS, and he has been able to pick up 2 kills, and you can see he already has the Tranquil Boots, and he's actually very close to picking up a Dagger. But maybe Magic Wand should be the correct choice for Bambo, as that might allow him to survive some of these big dives. Fear going to rotate to the bottom lane. He will spy out Snaking, and that is going to be the immediate cue for Jo, who is playing so defensively that, hey, something's up, and that will spark the immediate retreat of Snaking. He's going to go back to the lane, but actually, unfortunately for him, this is actually pretty big. He's going to flick through the trees, and he is wasting a lot of time in doing just that, as Tay will be able to get herself a bit of farm, and meanwhile, Fog's going to do that as well. But still, unfortunately for Snaking, he did waste a lot of time, because Little One Blink does have a long cooldown, so overjudging the distance by just a bit, and he will have to waste 10 or 12 seconds getting himself back to mid lane. TA doing a smart move. Whenever the lane's pushed up far enough, he's just going to farm the neutrals, and this is something that the Radiant mids can do a lot better than the Dire mids. One of the few advantages that Radiant have compared to the Dire, the main lane can kill off that neutral camp much more easily. And meanwhile, Snaking has picked up the Null Talisman, has been able to keep up consistently ahead of levels over the Templar Assassin. And it is, again, a momentum-based game. And ever since the mana cost nerf to TA, this matchup has gotten definitely a lot harder for the TA to win. Meanwhile, Dignitas placing a ward very aggressively, gonna go in, trying to kill off the TA as Darks are gonna pop the haste rune, but Demon actually runs the complete opposite direction. Noticing that there wasn't any rune top, perhaps wanted to get the rune bottom, or perhaps knew that gank was coming. But Demon adeptly dodges the gank. Might be a bit of luck. He's going to go into the fog, into the neutral camps, and Dignitas, do they know? They know it's a bit too risky, and they don't actually have detection to scout Demon's positioning, so good jukes by Demon as he's going to escape from a situation that he most certainly would have died from. But Dignitas, can they make something out of nothing? They're going to look to cut off the creep wave in order to get the push going on this tier 1 tower. This tier 1 tower might end up dying, but Barrett has the dagger, so if he wants to rotate into the mid lane, that could be what EG needs to take this engagement. Fog going to get impaled. Meld going to be there, as well as Surge will ensure the hasty retreat of that twin-head dragon, but called out, gonna hit everybody for the most part, gonna do a lot of damage to the Shadow Demon. Jakiro will die to one last remnant of the Flat Cannon. Meanwhile, Bambo blinking in, has revealed his dagger, was not able to get the Queen of Pain, will be able to get Universe. The Sonic Wave not doing nearly enough damage, Jo taking a lot of damage, the Flamer gonna fly in, and Barrett picks himself up another kill onto the Queen of Pain. EG looking in such a strong position at this point, capitalized on Dignitas' over-aggressive positioning and the initiation. Nice rotation by Fear, helping to set up that engagement, and Bambo helping out his buddies by coming with the dagger. Managed to get 4 kills in exchange for 0. So beautiful coordination by EG, and this is the EG that I like to see play high risk, but not play, you know, too riskily. And I guess not high risk, but more of an aggressive style, as this is definitely a very aggressive draft. TA a very aggressive hero, Barrett a very aggressive hero, and they are making the most of it. And they know they can, because AUI, again, is ridiculously underfarmed. And actually, it is a bit tricky to last hit with Spectre, so I'm not going to blame AUI for missing some CS, but he is a professional carry player, and this is a US server. But yeah, you might want to pick himself up a Cooling Blade, because even though Spectre has... Actually, this base damage is pretty bad. I was going to say Spectre has decent base damage, and I always say, you know, it's actually a bit more tricky to last hit with Spectre, but actually Spectre's base damage is quite pathetic. You know, way too sexy. Gonna Roman, gonna get the disruption onto Bambo. Shadow Poison will cancel Dagger. Looks like the Ice Path will be there as well. Here comes the Haunted by AUI, gonna try to pursue the issue. Actually got multiple points into a multitude of abilities. Got 2 points of Dagger as Beat was purged up. Gonna take an Ice Path. Here comes Snaking back on the saw. Bambo will buy back. He is gonna drag way too sexy, way too sexy. Is gonna die. He is not too sexy to die. As that was terrible. I apologize. Snaking tried to pick up the tower, but the rain fortified the structures just in time. The CS, or the creases, might end up killing the tower. No Fear does get denied. The call down will just barely lift. Queen of Pain trying to escape Barrett. If he has Flame Break, will be able to secure himself a kill. So that buyback was definitely worth it for Bambo, as Dignitas overcommitted. But they got 1 kill. Unfortunately, they didn't have the Darkseer there, so they couldn't book a hasty retreat. Instead, Demon was there defending the bottom tower, and actually Demon has picked himself up his own dagger. So Dignitas looking in a very uncomfortable position, because Spectre has died twice, has not been able to get too much farm, and meanwhile, Demon, with his EG teammates, are finding room to get their core items. Checking out the levels, as you can see, EG for the most part pretty high load, but Dignitas not too far behind, all things considered. I mean, their Jakiro's about to level 6. The supports are even. What is worrying is the Spectre's level, and Spectre is a very experienced dependent hero. And you can see she is only level 8, just managed to hit that level 8, and she is going to max the Desolate, so I guess she wanted to have that extra bit of slow, extra bit of damage, and extra bit of movement speed increase. But here comes Fear with Bambo, gonna bring down AUI. AUI did not have Haunt, and it wouldn't have mattered anyways, as Bambo will be able to help clean up the kill for Fear. And meanwhile, Dignitas, can they make anything happen in response? Looks like they're going to rotate a multitude of heroes to the bottom lane to try to kill off this tower, and they desperately need something going their way. They did get the mid tower denied, but here comes the teleport in by Fear. Fear, not yet with full mana, but he looks like he will be here to join the party. Darkseer venturing forward very dangerously, going to pop an Ion Shell onto the Queen of Pain, and this might spark the initiation. As Darkseer not yet with the mechanism, only level 2 vacuum, so it is a bit tricky to initiate against EG's squad. Meanwhile, Bambo going to push the top lane, and won't be able to bring the tower just yet. Actually, getting pretty close. Will force out a response by Snaking, but nice blink away by Bambo, and that will spark Dignitas' retreat for the bomb tower. And actually, Bambo, he wants this tower. He wants it so bad, but I think this tower will end up getting denied. Snaking going to activate an illusion rune. Bambo going to Firefly in. Ooh, Snaking knows that this is happening. Gonna be a bit of mind games. Bambo knows he has to back off, and he will end up dying. So that was actually the worst case scenario for Sexy Bambo. One of the infamous EG throws, as not only did he kill himself, he also gave Queen of Pain a decent amount of gold, gave her a good amount of experience, and the tower got denied. But still, EG, I mean, there's a silver lining of this. They're defending their bottom tier 1. And they won't have their tier 1 tower die just yet on this top lane, as JL will be there on the pursuit. JL actually been able to get a ridiculous amount of farm, 81 CS in 13 minutes, considering how action-packed this game is. Definitely not too shabby. Picked up a Helm of Dominator, so he can do some ancient stacks, and also picked up an Ogre Club. So he's going to avoid getting the drums for now, And I actually like this choice a decent amount because you can get a lot of gold, and outfarming the Spectre consistently is going to be an insurance policy for EG in the late stages of the game. So rather than going all in for the drums, getting the Helmet Dominator I think is going to be the right move, as you definitely want to have an insurance policy by keeping your item count ahead of the Spectre at all times on the back of these ancient spawns. You know, Dignitas can't really stack agents because they have no reliable way of clearing it that quickly. As EG gonna smoke up, they're gonna spot AUI, Bambo flying overhead. It looks like they might initiate onto way too sexy, but instead they're gonna spot Universe. The Impale actually hits multitude of targets. What a fortuitous Impale. I don't think they saw snaking, but they're gonna be more than happy to clean him up, and that is gonna spark the retreat of Dignitas. Way too sexy. Gonna get slowed by the sticky napalm. Can he use a disruption to help preserve his life? No, he's gonna end up being chainstone death. EG just cleaning up the side. Dignitas Demon gonna blink ahead, driving back the Spectre, and this will mean the end of the tier 2 tower for Dignitas. As right now EG making the most of their very strong mid game lineup, just pushing in, and JL always there for every engagement. He's playing pretty darn well at this stage. And EG looking for the deny on this tier 1 bottom will get it successfully. So EG have denied their second tower at Dignitas. That means from both the towers they've killed off, they've only been able to get the equivalent of one tower, as meanwhile AUI constantly being checked all over the map. EG is just saying, you want to farm? Well, you're going to have to farm definitely a lot more passively since we are everywhere. Fortunately for him, he's not yet level 11, so his lasso has a bit longer of a cooldown, but he's making his way towards the Force Staff, and he will actually have it up in about 45 gold. And with this Force Staff initiation, that means Bambo can just go in pretty much risk-free, and he won't be able to die, as Dignitas really have no reliable way of bursting him down. And aside from the Queen of Pain, Dignitas really don't have too much burst damage. So it seems like these teamfight picks are not working out, even though I feel like Darkseer is very, very powerful, and he definitely is, but so far in these games, it seems like the team who picks him up is not really doing that well. But EG Demon gonna get spotted. The Sentry Ward will be there. Demon most certainly will die. We'll see if EG can respond in any sort of way, as Demon tried to kill himself, unfortunately. Not gonna be able to do that. And there is a silver lining for Dignitas. They're gonna get the mechanism up, and I don't think EG is gonna pick up a mechanism anytime soon. But actually, in the silver lining, it's looking a bit more like, you know, talc lining. I'm trying to think of a shitty mineral, and I came up with the talc. Yeah, go science. But yeah, BKB is almost finished up on the gyrocopter. Nyx is almost gonna have that blink dagger. Meanwhile, Barretter has that Force Staff finished. Leshrac, very, very tanky, and Leshrac, if he manages to get some levels, he can do a lot in teamfight, as he can do a lot of damage, and he's able to survive a decent amount of time. Has strength treads as well as a wand and an urn. Definitely something that Beatus is not accustomed to having in these sort of games, but these tower pushes as well as the kills making a huge difference. And EG has 4 towers, well, I guess 3.5 compared to Dignitas' 1, if we count these towers as denies. And EG, yeah, 1 tower was denied themselves, but still, they are very, very far ahead. Meanwhile, Demon, unfortunately, he has died a couple times, has not been able to get that much CS, but still, TA, not really that important. Meanwhile, the supports on Dignitas quite poor, as there is going to be initiated on Way Too Sexy. Bambo might have been a bit over his head, as actually the last of times out before he can Force Staff away. Way Too Sexy going to take a lot of metal damage. The Fire Barrage, Macro Pyre, doing a lot to EG, but not enough, as Fogged might get pursued. No, Dignitas just going to back away, and EG not going to overextend too much. We'll just continue to farm up instead. Meanwhile, AUI on the verge of picking up his drums, but still 18-minute drums with 53 CS on Spectre is definitely not what AUI is used to, as this is the risk of having a Spectre choice against an aggressive lineup. I feel like Spectre definitely has a lot of her impact minimized, as EG going to smoke up right under the watchful eyes of Dignitas, as they have Sentry Wards and Reserve Wards everywhere, but that is going to mean a decrease in items for the Dignitas supports, as AUI might find himself in trouble yet again. Missile's going to fly, and he's going to try to haunt himself to safety, but he's stunned by the missile, and he will get burst down by the meld as well as the flame break. Bambo going to clean up the kill, and that means GG Go Next is going to be called by Dignitas, as they realize they were just way too far behind. The experience graph, the gold graph, was painting a similar story. So EG, with the commanding draft, gonna be able to overpower Dignitas and claim themselves Game 2 of this best of 3 series.
Radiant's bottom tower is
And they're gonna kill up Universe. I'm pretty sure EG are still friends with Universe, as they parted on amicable terms. At least that's what I've heard. And they're gonna be more than happy to clean up that kill. Little weird smiley face as Cheo just like using all his abilities before he disconnects. We're just waiting for Dignitas to have their last player disconnect before we move on to Game 3, as Fear says, can you leave so we can go next? And Universe will do just that. But Snaking has not left just yet.
is under attack.
But yeah,
Dire's bottom
EG, a commanding performance in this game. Really strong movement, strong lanes, and that's pretty much what happened to them in Game 1.
bottom tower has
The only problem for EG is that mid lane lost yet again, and Snaking has been able to get a favorable matchup both times, and Dignitas has been able to get a bit more room, but other than that, everything went perfectly for EG. Aside from a couple mistakes by Bambo here and there, and Demon losing mid lane, EG was just able to steamroll Dignitas on the way to Game 2 victory. So, thanks for watching, and I'll be back with Game 3 relatively soon, so I'll see y'all next time. Peace.